Well, welcome back to another thrilling week of
Ooh.
Cambridge Inside Out.
Yeah, it was thrilling. Anyway,
really
well, we don't
thrilling?
know if this is thrilling yet, but the week so far.
Actually,
Okay, Judy Nathans.
Robert Winters.
Yeah.
Actually, I put that because we actually had a couple of warm days.
Oh,
Actually, today's
yesterday,
sort
and
of
today
warm
was
day,
kind
too.
of, yesterday
Yeah.
though, I went for
So
a run.
there
Yeah,
was
because it
a-
was 60.
I ran into a friend in front of my house this morning. I said that, only in Cambridge when it's like a really nice day, people will, rather than go, man, it's a really nice day, they instead go, do you realize what a horror this is? It's February.
What?
It's supposed to be freezing.
Oh,
It's global
come on.
warming.
Who said that to you? You're just making
Oh,
that up.
goodness. No, that's the key. We're supposed to not
We've always
take-
had these odd days throughout
I know.
history.
But
But
that's
okay.
true. That's true.
No,
We should
there-
sort of, when they come,
We are
enjoy
not
them.
saying there isn't
Enjoy
a
them,
climate, because there is.
People
There
need
is a
to
climate
lighten up.
emergency. Okay.
That's right. There is a
You do
climate
what you
emergency,
can.
but that doesn't mean you shouldn't
Right.
enjoy a good day.
Don't waste water, whatever. Drink it. Don't waste it.
There
Don't
you go.
run your
All right. So
so
today is February 25th, 2020.
Yes.
2020.
another debate tonight.
Oh, no.
Yes, Democratic debate. I think it starts at 8. Someone said because it's in South Carolina.
Another debate? Really?
And
Let's see,
someone
what
said
mo-
it's
what
Tom
movies are
Steyer
playing
and
tonight?
Bloomberg, which 2 billionaires. But anyway. Anyway,
Yeah.
That's
okay.
tonight. If you're watching now, you'll see it. If not, you can catch it online.
Yeah,
So that's that. And then there was a city council meeting last night,
that's right. So
which I caught in many different ways because I had to go out. And then, but yeah, anyway.
When I'm there was a day I used to just go to city council meetings and just sort of stay from start
Why?
to finish.
Just go home
I
and watch it
wonder why,
online.
honestly.
Well, no, you watch it online.
Well, there were times when
You could-
there was one particular mayor who was being a particular jerk to me, who I just finally said forget it. And there was like a couple of years where if I went at all,
Oh,
I would tune in, say what's happening, and then boogie and head home.
yeah.
And I guess I'm kind of more that way these days.
Well, it's so much easier to watch at home and do other stuff or just have it on.
To me, the primary reason for going to city council meetings periodically,
Yeah.
the only reason still, because I just don't
Because you don't
find-
testify necessarily. Sometimes
No,
you do. But.
rarely.
So
I
what's the
used
reason to
find-
go when it's so available?
There are a few friends of mine who
Oh,
will
you like
go
to
up there,
schmooze. You barely
and I'll
pay attention
schmooze.
to the meeting.
I
You
go
just
with-
like to.
I go there for the
Yeah.
schmooze.
You go for the schmooze.
Yeah, but
so far, no, not good schmoozing.
no, you listen. If Patrick Barrett is up there, to me,
Oh, yeah.
that's like serious
Yeah.
good schmooze.
Right. Right.
There's some of the people who work for the city and the city
That's true.
administration, whether it's from
Yeah.
the city manager, various
Yeah.
people in the finance department, the
Yeah.
city department heads. who
Well,
are
they're all
coming in
waiting to be to
Yeah.
sit on the panel, so they're
Yeah.
outside or
Yeah,
something.
so if there's somebody from some issue having to do with the water department or public works department, they come by and they got to go in there and go, hey, Robert, how you doing? We have a little chat.
So you just like to make sure they remember who you are.
No, I mean, they know who I am,
I know you.
but the thing is that we're just catching up.
Put
and
your
it's-
pulse on the
It's an
city.
opportunity.
Yeah.
I kind of say, and I'm only being half facetious when I say it, but it's sort of like back in colonial days, you were required to go to like church meetings. They even they were kind of
Oh.
make-believe religions, even because you had to go to meeting on Sunday, right? And
usually got pancakes or some Sunday supper with it.
right, but the point is that
Yeah.
there is a kind of a community aspect
Yeah.
of going to
Oh,
church.
yeah.
I'm not a religious person, so
So
in
you're
some respects,
civics. You have a civic church.
that's my the church
The
of
Cambridge
civics.
Civic
Yeah,
Church.
yeah, in a way. So that's my go to meeting.
Yeah.
Sunday go
Yeah.
to meeting. It's
Yeah.
Monday go to meeting.
Yeah.
But I actually find it kind of disquieting a lot of the times these days.
Yes.
I've never been a fan of ideology, and when you start having city councilors dominating who are not practicalists but ideologues, it's kind of boring to me.
Now that you say that, there's I think instead of religion, people have gravitated towards politics and divisiveness that way. It's
Yeah.
like my side. That's interesting
Yeah.
what you just said. It's
Yeah.
sort of like a zealotness about that versus maybe what they used to be in religion, and some people do.
Right.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just it's all
But
yeah.
I
It's
don't
like
want
the
my
speechifying and all that.
I want
yeah.
my city councilors
Yeah.
to be more like, basically custodians of the city. Your
and
job.
represent everybody in the city
Yeah.
and not just your own.
Your
I
job
mean,
is to
your
be
own personal
representatives.
interest. Well, right, but
Let
they're
that influence you.
No, but they're elected based on their particular interests. Let's put it that way. They get those 1,600, 2,000 votes which isn't a whole lot when you think about it.
Yes and no. I mean,
no?
I would argue that
Well.
if everything was really working the way it should with proportional representation,
Yeah.
then the elected bodies should be
Of everybody?
proportionally representative of the people, the electorate.
Well, but look who gets more number one votes, and then if you look at who, where that constituency, if you get, I don't know, you're right, but
I think the top vote getters usually are not the
divisive ones.
super ideological
Well, I
ones.
could say that, I mean,
They're
look
the
at the
human
last
beings.
few.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
that's
think
true.
they're the ones who connect on a more human level.
Right, and sort of see both
Yeah,
sides, yeah.
right. But the thing is, we have a kind of a growing chorus of ideological
Yeah.
type candidates.
Well, I hope
and,
that's gonna stop, it's getting really,
I kind of wish we could get that way, but, I don't know that too many voters in this city actually pay attention. So if you don't pay too much attention, and then when elections come around, and somebody puts a lot of rosy stuff that makes them sound
right, because you
this
don't
and
need a
that.
whole, I mean, that's true, I mean,
Centrists and moderates
yeah.
don't sell, but, if you
Gee,
sort
it's
of
funny
put-
you should say that,
I
given
know.
our,
I know.
probably have our, I don't even want to go there, because I'll make some people angry, but anyway,
Right.
and I'm,
Yeah.
That's
So
it.
anyway, so
all right, so let's get back to the meeting, so there was.
so I didn't go to the
Oh, the
meeting
little
last night.
kids, you didn't see the
Oh,
little
I
kids?
actually saw them on TV.
They made it worthwhile,
But see,
I smiled.
Boy, are you right on about
Yeah,
that. I got to
yeah,
tell you, the
yeah.
times when I actually really feel like Cambridge is a real place, a
Yeah.
real community, is when I see a bunch of kids coming up saying,
Well, they
"We
were
want lights
boys,
for
but
our-"
that's okay, I don't think
I
girls
know,
play,
I
I know, but that's all
understand,
right,
but,
I accept that. But they were the cutest
But
little
there was
diverse
moms
bunch of
and
kids.
dads and their kids want
And
to play
Anthony Galuccio
baseball,
brother-
and
yeah.
I said, boy, Cambridge is not
I
like...
like lights, it's one
you
of
know.
them, because, they're not used to public speaking.
No, it was like a little
I like
taste
lights.
of what I think people who were
Yeah.
born and raised here kind of want to think that Cambridge is. It's like
yeah.
real people,
Yep.
with children and families and whatever.
Right,
as
and I didn't
opposed
know
to
that much
crazy
about the
People's
West
Republic
Division
of
and not,
Cambridge.
they're the only field that isn't lit, so I don't know, so Glacken Field, is that in the Alewife Reservation?
No, Glacken is the one
Where is
that's borders on Fresh Pond Reservation.
Oh, Fresh Pond Reservation.
yeah.
Oh, I know
If you
where
go
it's
up on
by
Huron Ave.
Neville.
The other side.
The other side.
Yeah, the Huron Ave side. of
Oh,
things.
okay, near the golf course.
Yeah, actually pretty close to the golf course. Yeah.
So not that far, but whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Well,
And it-
yeah. Get lights.
Yeah. So I thought, city council meetings were like,
Yeah.
kids coming up advocating for baseball. Boy, I'd be there every week.
Oh,
I think that
stop.
would be like fun. I'd chat up the parents and, talk
Yeah.
to the kids.
No, it was
and
fun.
talk
It's
baseball.
really nice to see
I
how
used to
a
play
vital
on-
part of the
I-
city it is.
I
You played
pl-
baseball?
I played on a
League?
Boston Junior Park League hardball team.
Oh, when you were older.
In the 1980s.
You
Yeah.
could still. Well, you couldn't
Yeah.
do it probably now.
I was
but
living
there
out
are-
my childhood fantasy. I never played on the
There
league
are
when I was a
adult.
kid.
There are adult leagues.
I-
Probably they
I-
stop around
I used to play
40 though.
softball every week. I still have my softball glove.
Did you hear Carlone
and
talking about his softball?
He
thing?
played
Yeah.
fast pitch softball.
Yeah, whatever
That's
that
right.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I love playing baseball and I love playing softball.
Wow.
And if I
You
did
have
it
to run,
if I did it today, I'd probably drop dead
Yeah,
out
right.
there the first base. Like
Right.
none.
You have to run.
That's it.
You could be the designated
Well,
hitter.
That's the funny thing about baseball is
Yeah.
if you don't play it regularly,
Yeah.
is that when you just suddenly go from like 0 to 6 and you're
Oh,
like
yeah.
running at full tilt,
No, you can't
the
do
adrenaline goes.
Yeah.
It really goes. Why is my heart racing
Yeah,
so
right,
fast?
yeah.
And I actually was
Right.
noticing when I was
Yeah.
like when I used to play at Wellesley College that we used
Uh-huh.
to play softball out there. I'd be on the bus heading home or driving home and I'm
And your
going.
heart-
It's an
uh-oh.
hour later and I'm going. Why is my heart still
That's
going
not
at
good.
95?
You need
beats a
more
minute?
cardio exercise.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's that adrenaline.
So that was
really
fun,
good.
and I guess that got passed very easily, right?
Well, the thing is all it really was an order making a suggestion.
Right, they have to come up with
beseeching
the money. I don't know
manager.
what it costs,
I
but it
think
makes
it's
sense that it should be lit if
I
it's
don't
going
think
to be
it's really a
used.
money issue so much
Yeah.
as it's sort of a saying.
Well, it has to be creative.
when they're already reconditioning the field, that like now's the time to do it. So you make sure you do it now.
With the reconditioning Glackenfield?
They're doing something because of I think.
Oh, separate
Well,
issue.
Tobin is going to close down. because
Well,
they're
no,
doing construction
they
school.
moved to Glacken because they're losing their 3 fields at
Tobin.
Castle Lane, right?
Yeah. So the
So-
thing is so they're.
So it might be a
getting
temporary
their-
thing, but they still need to have lights.
Right.
there.
So, but the thing is that for that reason they may
Yeah.
actually need to have.
Right, because they only have 2 fields, they have to have more games.
Right, and
Yeah.
you might want to play a little bit later into the evening, just sort
Right.
of fit in games that you can't do elsewhere.
So that actually doesn't border on too many houses, does it, in terms of lighting? Or
No,
does it?
but the thing is, it was it's reminiscent of the debate about putting in the bike trail.
Right.
It's not just a bike trail, but a linear
Yeah.
along turning the railroad tracks.
Oh,
into
right, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
There are people, part of the Fresh Pond
Oh, that's
Master
right.
Plan, people who
Yeah.
have real concerns about
Patty
having
Nolan
that
brought that up, so
lit
make
into
sure
the
you
night.
bring in, because that wasn't in the order, bring in the neighbors and stuff, which makes
Yeah,
sense.
so
Yeah.
I'm kind of two minds about it. I mean, I
Mm.
said, yes, give the kids the lights, but you really got to try and do it in such a way that you're not sort of lighting up.
Well, they said
the
they'd only
night.
have it on when, if you can control that. I know sometimes there's one down by the BU Bridge that seems to be on
Yeah.
all the time, but
Yeah.
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 Well, that's good, so I think it's
I think
good.
they'll find an engineering
Good.
solution. But anyway, I love that kind of stuff, because that's like
More
real.
exciting than the Red Sox at this point,
Right.
so.
But meanwhile, at the city council,
Yeah.
others focus on other things.
Yes.
I don't want to go into it right now, but I think it's very
Yeah.
fair to say that the big item on the agenda was the reintroduction of the so-called 100% affordable housing.
Well, it was a big
overlay.
item, but it wasn't to be discussed and all, it was
No,
just
no,
to
it's sort of
basically
when you-
put in
when
so
you-
that it's going to be.
Right, so
yeah.
you initiate the process. So
Right,
you
which means
bring it
meetings
in,
and hearings and public, all
You
that.
refer it to the ordinance committee and the
Right.
planning board and yada, 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 yada.
Right.
You
And
know,
I have not, have you actually looked at, the
I looked
new
it through.
language?
I looked through it, but the thing is that there came a point last year
Mhm.
when I just started
And you gave
tuning
up,
it
I
out.
know, yeah.
Because it was the things that I thought were
Mm.
the substantial and necessary things to
Mhm.
change. The people who were pushing it didn't want to change. They really wanted to change only the things that I thought were relatively inessential.
What did you think were very essential? Can you make it brief?
Well, I
and
mean, as
what
a
was the-
resident of a mixed business residential district,
Right.
where there's zero lot line requirement,
Yeah,
they weren't paying any attention to the effect of this on people who, the residential property, existing
Yeah.
residential properties in districts like that.
yeah,
They kept kind of generically focusing on, Res B or Res A or whatever in terms of a lot of those things, but all of these little BA1 zones or whatever, they just weren't really giving that the appropriate attention. Now, maybe that's my own selfish
Are
interest.
you in a
and it's
BA
true.
zone?
Yes.
Isn't a BA zone also River Street? Or something like that?
Yeah, so there's
Right, 'cause
these
there's
BA1,
combination,
BA2,
okay.
BA3, whatever.
But aren't they
and,
also looking at the corridors, which are?
Yeah, but the thing is there's, are they looking at the corridors? The Envision
Well, they've always looked at
Cambridge-
corridors anyway. There is, most of the
Right.
housing that's been built is along Mass Ave.
when the Envision Cambridge process was going on, when UTEAL was in charge, there was a lot of effort expended in identifying the corridors as sort of the more appropriate places where greater heights, greater densities would work, and leaving a little, let be most of the interior residential areas. So, and again, I live on one of those corridors, so
Yeah.
I said, okay, so I see that, so let's make sure you do it right. But then as UTEAL sort of gave way to the Community Development Department and different people within the city started essentially commandeering the process, the focus on corridors all but disappeared. And as I think a lot of people have pointed out, that how much of the whole Envision Cambridge recommendations and whatever did anybody really end up talking about
Just a
other
lot of
than this
money spent,
overlay
yeah,
thing,
right.
So it was, to me, it was 3 years of my life spending involved in Envision, all getting
What-
distilled
okay.
to something I didn't
Was the
take
super
care for.
inclusionary part of Envision, or was part of the
Yes.
It
It was
was?
part of the working.
Because
it came
maybe we'll
part-
talk about that at some point, because that seems to
Right.
me, it's sort of
I thought
in
that
the-
was a much
in the
more
middle of
rational,
what, yeah.
workable,
Interesting,
saleable,
okay.
universally
I'll have to look at that
acceptable
again, yeah.
proposal. There were other ones, but there are people with agendas, and and it's a lot of this is about political power, and and that's when I started tuning out and thinking I would prefer to watch kids play baseball.
But you know what's interesting is that Jivan has signed on that policy order.
Yeah.
And he is sort of, you don't really know where, because he was
He
supported
was-
by both sides, by a Better Cambridge and by people that were against
Well,
it.
but the thing is that
No?
there's still, this is one thing that bugs me. is
Yeah.
There's this so much attention paid to these tiny little groups of people, a Better Cambridge, the Cambridge
Yeah.
Citizens Coalition,
Cambridge
the
Residents
Cambridge Residents
Alliance.
Alliance, and
Yeah.
I have said, because I know the primary people in all of these,
Mm.
we're talking about groups of a small handful of people who are basically wanting to sort of dictate terms to residents of the city. So so they raise money, they put out literature, they run slates of candidates, and depending on who gets in the game and who's more successful, who's better at running social media, whatever, you sort
That's
of.
the name of the game,
I know,
Robert.
but it's
I mean,
all
look at
politics.
look at Bloomberg. I mean, all of a sudden, people like him because he's all over the airwaves.
I know,
He's-
but the thing is that
Right,
at some
I
point,
understand. Do
the
they speak
people of
for-
the city
yeah.
aren't really involved in this so much as sort of as a feedback mechanism, and
Well, a lot of the people that
We could
aren't
do better.
involved are not really going to be affected as much as some of the people that are, who feel like they're really going to be impacted, are coming to those meetings. And
Yeah.
it's sort of West
I've
Cambridge.
been saying for a bunch of
Yeah.
years now that we really lack civic infrastructure in the city, meaning, and by that I mean sort of civic political infrastructure. Back in once upon a time, the
Lack
Cambridge,
it.
well, Cambridge Civic Association, even with its flaws, was more of a
It's
all-purpose.
very white.
It wasn't
Very
always
West
actually.
Cam. I don't know.
What I'll say about the
well, at
Cambridge
least
Civic
then it
Association.
represented what it did. Yeah.
Because when I was on their board for a while, and I remember when I was trying to make some suggestions on better directions we can go toward finding compromises having to do with housing. This is when rent control was in effect, basically, so that in fact it wouldn't turn into a thumbs up or thumbs down matter, which is what it became, and it ended up as
Yeah.
thumbs down.
Yeah.
I was trying to carve out some compromise. There were some people I
Oh,
know,
they didn't want
like
to
Julie
compromise.
Gregory and
Yeah.
others who
But
very
the
much.
compromise was not in the pictures, either all my way or the
No,
highway.
it's true.
Yeah, I
It
know.
wasn't in
yeah.
the picture, but I will tell you that I was advocating when I was
Mm-hmm.
on the board of the CCA for trying to say, well, you guys have a majority on the council. Maybe you should be the ones who are taking a step forward to do that. And I was actually convincing people, and then you started seeing some of the people in charge were going, uh-oh. People were starting to listen to him, bad. And they said, and then they just dropped the hammer and said, we have to take care of our traditional electoral block.
Well, that it always comes down to that. Like we got
I know.
look at Trump with his base.
So that meant basically
They couldn't
the
consider
hoity-toities of West Cambridge. It meant
Yeah.
it's my friend David used to call the Sandinistas.
Oh.
Because it's like the left-wingers and whatever. And then yes, and it was also black voters. The thing is that CCA used to religiously make sure and I know this sounds very tokenist, and maybe it was, but they always wanted to make sure that their slate included at least one or two
It does sound
persons of color.
tokenist, but anyway.
And whether, how sincere that was,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was always on their mind.
So
to
you're
keep
saying we don't have that kind of association now? We have more divisions. I think there's just more kinds of people now.
The big
Robert.
difference is that back then the people who were involved in the CCA were much more well-rooted, much more of a long history to do it. All of these current entities are basically have appeared in the last few election
Newcomers.
cycles.
Yeah.
The CCC was the last one, appeared like 3 months before the election at most. Residents Alliance been around for a few times. They were, I think, were kind of trying to be the new
But a lot of the
CCA.
people that are in that group have lived here for a long time.
Yeah,
So
no,
you
I
have
think
to say
some
that.
of them. I'll give that to the
I
Cambridge
mean, our
Residents
mayor was
Alliance.
raised here, which I really like.
No, I would say for
McGovern
the
was raised
Cambridge
here,
Residents Alliance. Well, there's a difference between the candidates who
Right.
are endorsed and the
Yeah.
people who are actively involved in the
Actually,
organizations.
she's not endorsed, but
So,
anyway.
so I will
Yeah.
grant you that
Yeah.
the Cambridge Residents Alliance had a greater fraction of people who had
Yeah.
been actively involved in civic matters
True.
going back longer.
Yes.
So if they wanted to sort of make some kind of a legitimate
Mm-hmm.
claim to trying to be like the new CCA, at least there weren't, that wasn't totally fictional. I mean, I think there was some rational basis for it. The Better Cambridge people, for the most part.
Oh, that's a whole
was
newer group.
spawned
That was
as sort
the
of
the YIMBYs.
the
and,
YIMBYs
yeah, which,
and
you
whatever,
know,
but
but that's a thing across the country. So that's
right.
like,
But if it weren't for Jesse Canson Beninoff, there wouldn't have been a Better Cambridge group. That was sort of like his.
well, he
thing.
started it,
did
but then somebody would have continued
Right, so-
it.
but
Somebody would have come along. You don't
Right.
think so? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to dig on him here. I'm just
No.
sort of saying is that these are not well-rooted organizations, and for people to somehow suggest that somehow the body politic of Cambridge and the residential base of Cambridge is somehow represented by these organizations.
Well, what about our revolution?
Well, I mean,
That's a national
that's
thing.
kind of its own thing, you know, the sort of national politics kind of helicoptering into
Yeah, but they've got
Cambridge.
their local, and it's very strong.
It's true because, you know,
You
there's
know,
a
the
there is a
progre-
sizable
it's-
fraction of the millennials, which
Yeah.
are basically
Yeah.
who those
Under
folks are.
Under
You know, the
35,
gung
I'd
ho,
say, yeah.
you know, Bernie or bust type of
Mhm.
millennials are really probably about, you know, 75+% of who our revolution group is. You know,
Well,
and sure.
there's some older, real lefties in there.
Oh yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
like Bernie, he's what,
Oh, my God.
150 now, right?
78,
So,
one heart
right.
attack away, yeah.
Right.
He better pick a really good VP if he's gonna be our nominee, and it better be a woman.
You know,
Sorry.
actually, I will say that our mechanism for choosing presidential candidates is bad,
Yep,
but our
oh, 2
mechanism
years it
for
takes,
picking
ridiculous.
vice presidential candidates is worse.
Yeah,
It's sort of like, okay,
except
well,
back when Geraldine Ferraro was the candidate with
that was
Mondale.
great. And my brother,
Yep,
as a New York City
Yeah.
police sergeant, used to run the escorts,
really.
taking Geraldine Ferraro to and from her
I loved
house
her.
in Queens.
She's not with us anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, but
No.
so my brother actually had very good things to say about.
No, she
Geraldine
was
Ferraro.
excellent. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want. I don't
Actually,
want
it's,
to think
you know,
about this.
I'm not going to tell you
What?
too much here, but I will say that
Oh.
if you talk to police officers who've actually involved in doing escort work with
With,
major,
major
political
people,
figures,
yeah.
whether it's the Clintons or
Yeah.
various president, whatever, boy, will they tell you some
Oh, yeah.
interesting things about who the
And how they get treated.
decent people are. Yeah, I mean,
That's
if
right.
you treat the people well, I mean, they'll remember and they'll think well
I mean,
of you.
Clinton did some things, but I think he always treated people well.
I will tell you,
No,
however, that the
I'm talking about.
Clintons,
I'm talking about Bill. I assume.
the
Hillary.
police
What?
escorts for the Clintons
Oh, they had a
do
hot-
not hold them in high esteem.
Really?
Yeah, they don't, and it's just
Well,
unfortunate.
that is unfortunate. But
But,
when you say
um,
that, police escorts where? In D.C., in New York, where?
Yeah, well, I know New York and I know
Alright.
Cambridge, so.
Oh,
you
that's
know,
too bad.
I know it is too bad.
Even
you
during
know.
his administration?
Listen,
Or are you
know,
talking about now?
there is sort of kind of a problem
Yeah.
when people
Mm.
in politics sort of climb up the ladder is they become a little bit not all
Well,
of them, by the way.
I
but
think it's afterwards, but
some
who
of-
knows?
they
Maybe
do
because of what
become
happened to him.
somewhat
Because I
detached.
always was told, I mean, he always respected anybody in a I mean, and when I say uniform, I don't mean police. It could be a
Yeah.
worker and he always knew their names. He was a real
Yep.
people person,
Right.
and he's
No, and
probably.
that's my
yeah.
impression too. But
Yeah.
I always feel that the real true measure of a political person is
you know,
whether they actually
Okay,
remember
so
where
you're
they came
putting
from.
all the police in one category, that they're all wonderful and good.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the people
Yeah,
who
all
are
right.
actually running escorts. Actually, have these
Well,
sort of
whatever.
things,
I don't
that's
know.
all.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. How did we get to that?
I don't know.
Where do we
I
go
don't
from?
know.
Wait a minute.
just
We were talking about
two folks
constituencies, residents, all that, and polarization, and
Yeah.
that really, the bulk of that meeting last night. I timed it. It was an hour and 10 minutes on Quentin Zondervan's discussion of the
argument.
reports, because there were 46 of them, and I'm very confused about. I thought we passed the surveillance thing a long time ago.
You know,
Is this on the
I've-
technology?
I have to say,
Yeah.
in advance of city council meetings,
Oh.
I always post my snarky comments
Yeah.
on various things.
Yeah.
I don't think I even put any note about the surveillance,
You
but I
didn't
kind
think
of
it
knew
would-
that I knew
yeah.
it would be something,
But you didn't think
But
it got
honestly,
with this guy.
I don't.
Whoa.
I don't care that much about it. I'm not trying to dismiss it as
Yeah.
a concern. It's just that I accept the fact that there is a certain amount of sort of
Technology is going to be
technology around
used.
us,
Technology has been
and
used. There's
some of
going
it
to be
helps with police investigations,
Right.
and some of it could be intrusive. Right, I accept it all.
Yeah.
Right? But when Councilor Zondervan starts going on at length about,
And he
his
said in the
cons-
very beginning, "Bear with me. This might take a while."
I'm sorry, I
Oh,
can't bear with
Yeah.
you on some of these things.
Eight-
If you start raising issues about the fact
Yeah.
that a laryngoscope might accidentally capture an image of somebody's face while they're shoving it down their throat trying to
Wait,
keep them alive.
is that what
and that
that's
somehow
for?
that
Oh.
data collection of that fact that you caught somebody's face is somebody we should be horribly concerned about. I said, what am I hearing?
And then LexisNexis, used
LexisNexis.
by the police to figure out if someone had a previous history or something,
Yeah.
and his objection
and it's
was
all public.
it's all going to be
publicly
compiled,
available
and
data
it could
anyway.
be. Yeah, but he's saying that because you compile it, it could be gotten by bad actors. But I'm thinking,
I used to
Come
use
on.
LexisNexis routinely, because if you work
pay
at
for
university.
it. It's
well,
a-
if you're part of
Oh,
universities,
you
which
get it, right.
at least for a little while I am.
Oh, stop. That's a,
But the thing is that when you work for universities, oftentimes
Yeah.
you can have access to LexisNexis because
Yeah.
it's a good research tool.
it's illegal. Oh, no,
Yeah.
is
Well,
it
there's
illegal?
different
No,
versions
no,
of
you're
it.
right,
You
yeah.
you can access
another,
really rich databases
yeah.
of historical newspaper collections.
Right.
And boy, that's really great stuff.
Well, we have
you know.
ProQuest at the library, you can actually.
Really? Oh, I haven't tried that one.
Yeah, we
You know, but
used
it's,
to,
it's
yeah.
great to have access to these things, and you know, you can
So it's basically
honestly you
what.
can look up candidates'
Right.
names and you find out some other curious things
Right,
about them
so
too.
it's like, what is it used for, where's that information going, and that's sort of the theme of everything.
Yeah. So
Like,
I'm not
you know-
I'm not trying to be dismissive of this surveillance ordinance and the concern
You're
about
right.
it,
Yeah.
but I you know it's sort of this sort of singular focus on minutia, as if somehow if we as city councilors don't run to the rescue to make sure that none of this stuff can get used, that somehow horrible things
You
are going to
hinder-
happen, and I
right.
don't see it. I really don't see it happening. But
So they discussed the ones, they brought up in front the ones that, there was a time factor, because they had to buy the
There's, like,
equipment or put out
purchasing-
bids. So
yeah.
they did discuss, like
Yeah.
the buses,
Yep.
the
Yeah.
cameras on buses, which apparently have been on there.
If
It's
I had a
not-
kid
yeah.
and who was getting bullied on a
You'd
bus,
wanna know,
and I
right.
would, and that's listen, I was a grade school kid too, and
Yeah,
I could have been the bullier
Yeah.
or the bullyee,
Yeah.
at various times. I had a growth spurt.
so was the objection to it having it at all, or what it would be used for?
You
Because
know,
he must have known they've been using them.
it's sort of the problem with the ideologues,
Yeah.
though, is that they're more
Once you
concerned
let
with
this
the
happen-
ideology of
Yeah.
whether surveillance is good or bad, as
Yeah.
opposed to the practical concerns about whether having it on a bus so that you can get a record of a bullying case or not.
I mean, it's a slippery slope. I can see that. I mean,
Yeah.
China, they now have facial recognition where people are basically being identified. And I can see
Yeah.
where you could see that going there. We just have
Right,
to
so let's
trust, I
fo-
think, in our departments.
Some trust is appropriate,
Yeah.
and I think let's focus on
Yeah.
the sort of serious aspects of this
Yeah.
as opposed to the laryngoscopes.
Yeah. Or
you know,
something about the fire department. I don't know. Was that?
Yeah, or
I don't know.
whether the water department.
No, the water he was okay with,
they
I
were-
think.
oh, that's good. I'm so good. I'm so glad. So. Anyway, we got to take a break
We'll
here.
continue
so
this.
We'll be back on Cambridge Inside Out.